The evening cleaning shift at Sterling Industries had just begun as Marcus Hayes pushed his cleaning cart through the executive floor, methodically working through his checklist. At 34, he had been working as a janitor for 2 years, a humbling fall from his previous career as an architect, but it paid the bills and allowed him flexible hours to raise his 5-year-old daughter Lily alone after his wife's death. The executive floor was usually empty by 7 p.m., which Marcus preferred. Less interaction meant less pithy from people who remembered when he had worked in a different capacity, before grief and circumstances had changed everything. But tonight, as Marcus approached the CEO's office, he heard an unexpected sound: quiet crying through the partially open door. He saw Victoria Sterling sitting on the floor of her elegant office, still in what looked like an expensive silver dress. Mascara streaked down her face, sobbing into her hands. The CEO of Sterling Industries, the woman who commanded boardrooms and negotiated billion-dollar deals, was alone and broken. Marcus knew he should quietly leave, pretend he had not seen anything. But something about her posture, the defeated slump of her shoulders, the way she cried, like someone who had finally run out of strength, made him pause. He knocked gently on the doorframe. Victoria looked up, startled and embarrassed, quickly, trying to wipe her eyes. "I'm sorry. I didn't realize anyone was still here." "I'll get out of your way." "You're not in my way," Marcus said gently. "Are you okay?" "That's probably a stupid question given the circumstances, but I'm fine," Victoria said automatically, then laughed bitterly. "No, I'm not fine. I'm supposed to be at a gala right now. Industry awards dinner. I'm being honored for leadership excellence, or some such nonsense. But my date cancelled 2 hours ago, and I realized I have absolutely no one else I could call. No friends, no significant other, just business associates who would attend out of obligation rather than actual care." She looked at Marcus with red-rimmed eyes. "I built this company from nothing. I'm worth $500 million, and I'm sitting on my office floor crying because I'm so profoundly alone that I can't even find someone willing to attend a dinner with me." Marcus set down his cleaning supplies and, breaking every professional boundary he had carefully maintained, sat on the floor across from her. For what it's worth, industry galas are usually terrible. Overpriced food, boring speeches, everyone performing success rather than actually enjoying themselves. Victoria laughed despite her tears. "You've been to many industry galas?" "I used to," before Marcus paused. "In my previous life, I was an architect, had my own small firm. Then my wife got cancer, died 2 years ago, and I couldn't manage the business while raising our daughter alone. Lost the firm, took this job because it pays enough and the hours work with Lily's schedule." Victoria stared at him. "I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Why would you? CEOs don't typically know janitors' life stories." Marcus smiled gently. "But my point is, I remember those galas, the performance of success, the loneliness of being surrounded by people who know your resume but not your heart. It's different than being alone in your office crying, but it's the same kind of isolation." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Victoria said something that surprised both of them. "Will you be my date tonight?" Marcus looked at her, confused. "What? To the gala? I know it's insane. You're the janitor. I'm the CEO. We've barely spoken before tonight. But you're the only person who has been genuinely kind to me in months. Everyone else wants something: my money, my connections, my approval. You just sat down on the floor with me and admitted you understand loneliness. That's more real than anything I'll experience at that gala." I can't go to an industry gala, Marcus protested. I don't have formal wear. I'd be completely out of place. I don't care. Neither of us wanted to go to this thing anyway. But if we're going to suffer through it, at least we'd be suffering with someone who sees us as actual humans instead of positions and net worth. Victoria stood up, offering him her hand. Please, just for tonight, be my date. Help me get through this ridiculous evening, and tomorrow we can go back to being CEO and janitor and pretend this never happened. Marcus thought about Lily, already with his neighbor for the evening. He thought about the absurdity of attending a gala in his janitor's uniform or whatever formal wear Victoria was apparently prepared to provide. He thought about every professional boundary this would cross. Then he looked at Victoria's tear-streaked face and genuine desperation and realized she was not asking him to perform, she was asking him to be real with her for one evening. Okay, Marcus agreed. But I need to call my neighbor and make sure she can keep Lily for a few more hours. Victoria's relief was palpable. She led Marcus to what turned out to be a private room in her office suite, where she apparently kept emergency formal wear for unexpected events, she explained. I have men's suits in various sizes. Try these. An hour later, Marcus found himself in a perfectly fitted tuxedo, riding in a town car with the CEO of the company where he mopped floors. The situation was absurd, but Victoria's genuine gratitude made it worth the discomfort. At the gala, something unexpected happened. Victoria, freed from the pressure of performing success for a business-appropriate date, relaxed. She and Marcus talked honestly about their lives, her isolation despite wealth, his grief and rebuilding, their shared understanding of how success and loss coexist. Everyone here sees Sterling Industries CEO, Victoria said during dinner. You see Victoria, who was crying on her office floor because she's lonely? That's more valuable than any award I'm receiving tonight. Everyone at Sterling Industries sees the janitor, Marcus countered. You see the architect who lost everything but kept going. That matters more than you know. Over the following months, something unexpected developed. Victoria and Marcus continued having conversations, first brief exchanges during his cleaning shifts, then coffee meetings, then actual dates. Victoria spent time with Lily, who adored the pretty lady who makes Daddy smile. People at the company are talking, Marcus told Victoria 6 months after that gala. The CEO dating the janitor. It's gossip material. Let them talk, Victoria said firmly. You see me? Actually see Min, not my wealth or position, but the person underneath who gets lonely and scared and sometimes cries on office floors. That's worth every piece of gossip. You see me too, Marcus said. Not the failure who lost his business, not the tragic widower, but the person trying to rebuild while raising his daughter with love. You make me feel like I'm more than my circumstances. 1 year after Victoria had asked her janitor to be her emergency date, Marcus proposed not at a fancy gala but in Victoria's office, on the floor where they had first really seen each other. You were alone and crying. I was cleaning your office and should have walked away. Instead, we sat on this floor and acknowledged our shared loneliness. Marcus knelt with the ring as Victoria cried happy tears. You asked if I would be your date for one night. I'm asking if I can be your partner for life. Will you marry me? Will you let us build a family together, you, me, and Lily? Will you keep seeing the real me, while I keep seeing the real you? Through tears, Victoria said yes, but only if you promise to always remember this floor, that you saw me broken and chose compassion. that I saw you in a janitor's uniform and recognized someone who understood isolation, that we built love on seeing each other's humanity instead of our positions. I promise, Marcus said. How could I forget? You asked your janitor to be your date because you were desperate for someone real. I said yes, because I understood exactly what you were asking for: connection instead of performance. At their wedding, Victoria's vows made everyone cry. I was sitting on my office floor, devastated by loneliness, despite success, when my janitor knocked on my door. He could have walked away. Instead, he sat with me in my mess and admitted he understood. I asked him to be my date for one night out of desperation. He became my partner for life out of love. Thank you, Marcus, for seeing past the CEO to the lonely woman underneath. Thank you for teaching me that the most valuable connections are the ones built on honesty, not hierarchy. If this story reminded you that real connection transcends circumstance, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment about when someone saw past your position to your humanity.